Fellow tennis nerds, before I got hit with a virus that put me in bed for a week, I went to Rotterdam ATP 500. I must say it's one of the most impressive indoor tournaments I've been to. Probably the most impressive one. Has an illustrious history thanks to Team Tecnifibre, who invited me for a day together with some other creators you might know, like Gladiator Grisha, Hampus from Tennis Rally, and so on. We got a really interesting behind-the-scenes look at this tournament. Loads of seats, stands, space in the place, high-quality foods and drinks, even a 3-star Michelin restaurant in the VIP area. So they really went all in on like trying to get an amazing tennis event. And you know, if you see the winners through history, we had Sinner last year, Alcaraz this year. So it's one of those winter tournaments in Europe that you should go to if you're not that far away, because it was a very nice experience, except for me picking up some virus there. I really loved my time. So backstage tour, and we got to talk a lot to the stringing team from Tecnifibre, and I have some insights in this video for you about the tensions, but also about some advice that the stringers gave us. Very fascinating always to talk to stringers and understand, you know, their life, quite special one.
The perfect string job is to keep the original shape of the racket, to put tension on every separate string and maintain that tensions as good as possible. Are there exceptions? Yes.
And they're really passionate about their craft and should be getting some recognition. I've talked about that a lot on this channel before and on the podcast. And many stringers are nice and send me like some tensions and some specs that they find out. Lots of love for the stringers out there. I've been to a lot of tennis tournaments over the years as a tennis nerd, and the best part for me is usually getting as close as I can. And if I don't have like the best seats, I prefer just going to the practice courts. I mean, I like to see the match, of course, but you get a little bit better sense of the action, of the pace. You can also look at like player body language and how they interact with their coach. And you can learn also because you're getting so close, so you can understand technique a bit better. And that's, for me, the most fascinating part about going to these events. And the practice courts in Rotterdam were excellent in the sense that you could easily get to them. The one issue I would like to say is that on the side where the crowd can move, there's a net, so it's not very good for filming and even watching sometimes. So that net I didn't like so much. Only the first practice court did not have a net, so players could actually watch. And when you had guys like Alcaraz and even Tsitsipas, they drew quite a big crowd on the practice court, especially Carlitos. You know, people love him, and it's clear, like when he's about to practice, people start lining up, and it's a joy, of course, to see these guys hit up close and to understand the velocity and the explosiveness they put into their professional sport. I also enjoyed watching guys like Mpetshi Pericard practice. Was surprised to see the amount of loop he puts on the ball. Like on TV, it's difficult to see how much spin and how much racket head speed they get sometimes on the ball. It's a deceiving medium in my take on it, and I think that I would like to see more angles and them using that court level angle a lot more. We have seen some new tensions and some new strings. By the way, if you remember, you have already seen this maybe, so sorry to you guys, but you already have some other content to watch. So if we look at some of the tensions and strings, and Daniil Medvedev, he was back to Razor Soft and got in the crosses. So he did play with this for a while, then he went back to Razor Soft in a full bed, and now he is back to a hybrid. Obviously, he's the one maybe who complains the most about the balls. Many players complain about the balls, but he's really said that it's hurt his game a lot because he cannot hit through the court, and he doesn't have that explosive kind of game that Alcaraz or Sinner or a lot of these new guys have, and he needs to work harder to win points. And it's been clear in his results, whether it's the balls that we can blame or something that's going on in his game, or he's just not adjusting enough. That's another story, but the results are not there for Medvedev, and he did lose the second match after beating Wawrinka in a narrow match that I watched, which was fun. But even in the on-court interview, he complained about the balls. So, yeah, he will keep complaining about the balls, which I completely understand. I've played with many crap balls in the last few years, so it's how it is. Another somewhat struggling player is Stefanos Tsitsipas. He's back to the Blade 1820 with Laxlon 4G. 23, 22 kilos. He's been trying a little bit of everything, as you might know, but back to his bread and butter with a slightly lower tension. We used to play a bit more, like 25, 24. And I was really impressed. I went to a few of his practices, been in touch with him before a bit, and he was really hitting the ball well, the best I've seen him in practice. And he did play well, I think, in 2 matches, but then came up short against Bellucci. Not sure exactly what happened there. Tricky lefty Bellucci, so it can be tough, and he had a great week. So not sure you should read too much into that, but I think Stefanos will pick up some nice wins, especially during the clay season. So I think he's finding something in his game. He had a new coaching presence in the team from Mouratoglou, and not Patrick Mouratoglou, but a coach from Mouratoglou. And I think some new influence and new energy and more aggressive game look good on him, I think, for this tournament. Another player who's back to his old setup is Alcaraz, back to RPM Blast. He used the softer RPM team since Wimbledon, pretty much, but according to the stringers in Rotterdam here, he was stringing RPM Blast. And the usual tension, 55 pounds, mains 51 pounds, crosses, that's 25 kilos and 23 kilos. And he did win the tournament, so it seems to work well. Not a huge shift in any way. You might already have seen, I'm not sure if I made a video about that before, but that he added a few grams to the throat of his racket as well, which might impact, might not. He didn't play spectacularly well, but he is Carlitos, so he got it done in the end. We will see now when we get to the Masters if he can keep producing the goods. Another RPM Blast player who was there and who played a good match against Medvedev, but didn't really quite go all the way. Stan the Man Wawrinka, still with RPM Blast in his 95D from Yonex, and it's his tension is 27 kilos mains and 25 kilos crosses. Another 2 kilo differential. They want the cross string to have a little bit lower tension to increase the movement of the main string. Bit more spin potential generally, but that's a pretty high setup, similar to what kind of Sinner uses, I would say. But Stan the Man, he hits hard, so he needs a very control-oriented tension. So those were some key tensions. There were also other interesting findings, which I'm gonna give the word now to the Tecnifibre stringing team. All great guys. I had some time to chat to them, and they were friendly and open and service-minded, and took time to chat despite having like a batch of rackets from a player, and their life obviously is built on routines. They need to be kind of like a clock, right? And they keep doing the same things over and over again. The players are very picky and specific with their strings and their tension, and how and when they want the racket to be strung, in how many knots, and what time they want it delivered, even how it should be placed on the machine. All these things might seem ridiculous to us, but in the head of the player that makes a big difference, or any kind of difference, and they take anything they can get. So this was a fascinating part of this conversation with the stringers. So thanks to them, and thanks to Tecnifibre for inviting me to the event. Word over to the Tecnifibre stringing team. Have a nice day, and don't forget to play some tennis.
Like when you string by hundreds of grams, does that make a difference? Or is it like by half kilos? If you string 21.1 kilos or 21.5 kilos?
I think because that's the feeling the player has, and it's difficult to measure because the DT gives like 42 or 41. So when you start just with 200 grams, it's difficult when the moment the DT changes. So for us it's very difficult, but for the player, for example Dimitrov, he wants 24.2, 23.2. Sometimes it's a little bit colder, a little bit warmer in the center court. He goes a little bit up or down.
He feels everything.
He feels everything on the racket. So he adjusts with 200 grams, but most players by half or by 1 kilo. Yeah. If it makes a difference for them, okay, perfect. Because we don't feel what they feel on the court. We just provide what they want.
The player is always right, even when he's wrong, right?
The player is always right. Yes.
With our pro stringers, so let me introduce you to Stéphane. He's our head of stringer.
Bonjour Stéphane. Hello Stéphane.
Dimitri, Marcelo, and we will present you Richard and Steve. So they are all professional stringers with a massive experience and a great team spirit. So they are working with Tecnifibre when we are the official partner on tournaments such as Rotterdam, Miami, Monaco, and Washington. To get to know you better, guys, is it possible to introduce yourself in a few words, just to explain how long have you been a professional stringer, where do you come from, etc.? Would you like to start, Dimitri?
Yes, I'm Dimitri. I'm from the Netherlands. I started stringing when I was 8 years old. I kept on stringing my own tennis career. Later in a sports center, and the last 10 years full-time stringer. And working in my own shop and do some customization, stringing and everything with rackets.
Thank you. Marcelo?
I started to string when I have 11 years old, and I participated the most 30 tournaments in my life, the most 10 years, and now I am a master professional stringer, the maximum high level experience the stringers in the world.
From Holland. I started stringing at home first, at my own room. Then I started a shop, stringing in a shop. And then I've been invited by Tecnifibre to do the first tournament here, professional tournament, and that's 12 years ago. So yes, and then we go all over the world. So we go to Miami, Washington, Kazakhstan, and so on. So we're really happy and appreciate it working for Tecnifibre.
Steve, I'm 27 years old. This is my fourth year of stringing for the stringing service. Started stringing when I was 16, so that's 11 years now. This year will be my first also to Monaco, so gotta upgrade.
Je vais faire en français, comme ça va changer un peu.
Well, French company, so...
Moi c'est Stéphane, donc je suis cordeur pour Tecnifibre depuis plus de 20 ans maintenant. Mon premier tournoi c'était à Roland Garros en 2003. Donc voilà, donc je travaille avec l'équipe Tecnifibre depuis plus de 20 ans. Tout autour du monde, donc voilà, comme on disait tout à l'heure, tous les tournois, Miami Open, Washington, les ATP Finals il y a quelques années, donc voilà. Vous êtes bienvenue et je souhaite passer une bonne journée à Rotterdam.
The perfect string job is to keep the original shape of the racket, to put tension on every separate string and maintain that tensions as good as possible. Are there exceptions? Yes. Tukita arrived and said, I want to pre-stretch my racket. Pre-stretch the string? No, pre-stretch the racket. So if a player wants pre-stretch of the racket, we make the racket longer. It's possible. When you zoom in, that's what it is. The most important thing for me is consistency. We do everything the same. When you string, for example, at home, you string one racket, drink a cup of coffee, listen to the music, string the racket, and you leave. Here it's different because we don't string one racket, we string 40 rackets. Different players, different demands. One wants to string in the evening, the other one wants to string in the morning. Some players say you can start stringing at a specific time, so you have to organize. But consistency is the most important, because when a player wants 6 rackets, like Tsitsipas, and he wants 22 kilos, it has to be exactly the same. Exactly the same, and it starts with putting the racket on the machine. If you see, it's always like this. The logo up. Are there exceptions? Yes. Dimitrov is the only player who wants to string the racket upside down. So it's very dangerous for the stringers because we do all exactly the same every time. We check this. Okay, Dimitrov upside down. The nuts, for example, we use the Pro 2 nut. We all do. It's a small nut, it's very good, it's not too big. We start every time exactly the same. When we start with the stringing in the middle, with the clamps. So when we take the measurements and we use the ERT, where is it here? It has to be exactly the same. So if it's 37, all the rackets are 37. For us it's very important that we know that we do exactly the same. And if I can give you one example, Kukushkin yesterday played for the qualification. He's playing with a one-piece string. He's very picky on the way we have to string. He wants a racket 14-13, for example. Then in his mind, that's the racket where he wins the match. He's on the match. He ordered an express racket. The guy arrived, specifically go to the entrance and said, okay, Kukushkin, on-court racket. I want the same machine and the same stringer. So sometimes you have to wait a little bit longer, but that's what's in the mind of the players. Consistency is the key word. Yes? And you are as good as the last racket you strung. So be aware of that. You string 149 rackets, make one mistake in the final, and it's a shame for the complete team. So that's the reason why you stay focused the whole tournament.
How many rackets are you going to string at Rotterdam?
Around 60. Yeah, and maybe more because we have the big players, so it will go up because they have a higher demand. When you want to make a mistake, and you make what we call a bridge. When we make a bridge, we have to pay a lot of beer because it's the biggest mistake of a stringer ever can make. And we make it, we feel, check, it's a bridge, putain. You cut and you start over. When you give it to the player, it's the biggest mistake of your life. Huh?
Yeah.
So, there are 6 rackets, check if there is a bridge, very important. Go with your hand over the string and maybe there is one, find it. Because when it goes to the court and you are the team, oh my God, what happens then? Consistency. When you saw me string the racket of Tsitsipas, you saw this.
Yeah.
It's the setting off. For me, and I think for all the players, it's the most important tool we use. Besides the machine, because that's the Rolls Royce under the machines. But we need this to set the straightening the cross. And I know it's very difficult sometimes. I remember you put something on social media and you see them and then they say, it's a screwdriver, you want to push it in the string. No, you need it to set the cross string straight. So if you give it like this, Tsitsipas goes to the court and he sees like this, what happened here? He brings it back. Yeah, so mistakes. Number 2, we have paint on the racket everywhere. Yeah, it's not looking nice. Huh? When you put the racket like this on the machine and the tail of the knot is going down, you know that it's strung upside down. So it's not good because you want the tails of the knots up, going down. So it's not possible to string a racket like this and then put the tail down. It's not possible. So the racket was like this on the machine. So he started the wrong way. But you see directly that the knot is in the lock, but it's a single hitch. It's not a knot. Sometimes you see that it's not a knot because it will slide. So at the moment they start playing and they bang the racket, it will go it's not a knot. When it's a double hitch, it's probably gonna stay with polyester, but this is inside the grommet, so that's a big mistake.
What's your biggest screw up in your career?
The biggest screw up? You make a lot of screw up because you can imagine you have to change. It's very busy. You need to string 2 rackets for Kaboli, 2 Medvedev, everything arrive, and then you are stringing the mains, and he says, putain, it's 23 kilos. He wants 26 because it's still on the 26 of the previous player. So you have to look, check, okay. And in the beginning, not a problem, but at the end of the tournament, you're getting tired, and every time you have to stay focused, and the people walk around, ask you questions, and you have to be aware, okay, tension okay, everything okay, good string, perfect. So you have to be constantly focused till the last racket you strung. If I give the rackets to Stefan with the final, and he checked and said, perfect. Okay, then it's finished, and it's done, because then it's finished.
All right. And we know that a lot of players have a lot of superstitions. What about the stringers? Do you have any things you always keep in mind, or you always control before or while stringing a racket?
For me, it's for sure, and it's my 10th tournament here, and I do more tournaments, like 20 or 25 tournaments. All the stringers who are here are very good, but all are a little bit crazy. I don't know how I don't know, because it's very difficult when you go to a birthday party and they ask what you do for work, and you say, I'm a stringer. Stringer, what is it? And you start talking and talking. My wife always says, it's the forbidden words, and you don't talk about stringing, rackets, strings, and I don't want to hear. But what they have all is, you have 6 rackets, you strung 1, you know that you have to string 5 more. So that's a little bit like, I would say, meditating. It gives you, but we have to be a little bit crazy, because otherwise you won't do this job. Right. Yeah. So we like what we do, but we work for the same protocol. Every stand on the same way, every tool is on the same position every time. It's constantly repeat. Consistency. That's what I always keep in mind. Okay.
You also share one crazy request. You already
Crazy request because and it's also been a long time in social media because I see it all the time. Like Manarino with the 9 kilo. For me, the craziest was we have to swing the racket for Ulrike Eikerin. It's crazy, a Wilson Ultra, and she said, okay, I want 88 pounds. 88 pounds. I look if that's possible on the machine. She comes back. I want a little bit tighter. I think it makes
What's
it.
that in kilos approximately?
No, it's 40 kilos.
40 kilos.
40 kilos.
Give her a paddle racket maybe.
It's 40 kilos. You want
maximum.
one piece stringing,
Yeah.
1 piece stringing 4G. And then said, okay, we're gonna try a little bit harder. We do 88 pounds and we do 15% pre-stretch.
To be sure.
And a set of new elbows.
So I don't understand. It has to be like a wooden plank,
Yeah.
oak. But and one other thing was the Japanese guy, the Sukita, who was explaining. Okay, it was a Babolat racket, and he wants to make it longer. So we have to put it in the machine with 2 guys, and then take the thing behind as long as possible. Put a lot of pressure on the side, and then the racket. And then he arrived. It was just a small guy. He arrives, and then he looked at the racket. He takes the racket off his back. He puts like this. He said, "No, it's not good. I want longer. I want longer." Okay, we do it again and again and again. But every time you think, "Oh my God, maybe it's gonna break." But
How many rackets did you break, be honest, while doing that?
For Sukita, he had like an adapter. So he had something made that you can put like the badminton rackets where you put here. It was a little bit longer, so he distributes the power a little bit, so he knows that it's possible to break.
When I worked in Washington DC, and I restrung 6 rackets for Grigor Dimitrov. And when they finish the racket, Grigor pick up the rackets and they go to the court training. And after the 50 minutes, rain a lot and cancel the match. And Dimitrov returned to the string room and bring me this racket. Look, I would like restring again for tomorrow. And I don't know, it's 30 minutes. It's incredible. It's really, really incredible. Professional players understand that situation because one day, average the rackets last tension 8 at 10% in one day. All these players understand that situation because this Grigor Dimitrov bring me again the rackets, good and restring again. 6 rackets, 5 rackets totally fresh. Only one training for 50 minutes.
An anecdote about Bublik. Bublik came to us here, and he was in a bad mood because in that way he hit everything, all the balls were out, feeling nothing. So he came with, can you make a solution? So what we do is we measured the rackets previous. He played with Konex. We measured his rackets, and for me, the way he played, there was not the right specs. So I tried to different specs and give him the racket and just try it. He came back and he said, "This one you did with this specs. This one is the old racket. Which one do you think?" Yeah, what can I say? I said, "It's my racket. You prefer." And he said, "Yes, I like it very much. Do them all the same." So I made his rackets. So he was happy, played here. Then we meet him in Miami, and there we changed all of his strings. So he tested the new strings. He played with it. He was very happy. We continue working with him, and he was so happy. I get an invitation of his management to invite me at Roland Garros. So that was very nice. I did not go because I had no time, but okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. And then the last time we met, it was not me, but one colleague, Dimitri. We meet him in Monaco. And he tested again, but he wanted to test the new racket. So he came on court with the new racket, with the new specs, and he was so happy. And then he got the contract with Bublik.
Thank you, guys.
That's the story.
Yeah.
But to have one thing extra, the craziest thing was we adjusted the rackets for him, the new T5, together with Steph. So he makes the preferences. Richard sent his preferences, specs. Then he was practicing on the court, and the coach came to the desk and he said, "You have to come to the practice court." So we go to the practice court, walked on the practice court. He said, "It's unbelievable. I want this racket, I need 3 rackets, because when I hit the ball goes in, and not the same with the Yonex, the ball flies too long. So it's perfect, I want 3. Oh, okay, I go back to Stefan. Stefan organized 3 rackets. They customized 3 rackets for him in Barcelona. He plays Barcelona tournament, he plays against Emil Rusevori. He lost 6-1, 6-0 in 48 minutes. So I think, oh my God, this is finished. After that, he won his first ATP 500. He plays quarterfinals in Wimbledon. He served maybe the hardest serve with the racket, and he has the highest ranking ever. So it was a good solution. So what do we say all the time? We unleash your potential, no? Is it unlock your potential.
And it was my first time. I didn't know what to expect. And Stefan asked, who wants to string for Tsitsipas? And they both didn't say anything to get the racket. I had no idea. So I said, yeah, sure, no problem. First day, 2 rackets. Second day, 3 rackets. I said, what's the problem? Then the match day came. 13 rackets.
With 4G.
With 4G.
It's
full
a terrible
4G. Yeah. So yeah, that was an early morning.
Thank you, Steve.
What makes the 4G so tough to string?
Because the call memory, it's turning and turning and turning and turning. It's
Plus the string is very stiff.
Very tight. Memory.
So you gave up the Tsitsipas racket, huh?
yeah.
Not for that one, but now it's back to Dimitri.
It's the only one he didn't want to
I
string.
don't want. Oh yeah, we
But
get
it's
to
karma.
No, because you hope always your players string rackets for that win the tournament. Because then you did it a little bit. You won the tournament also. But you have only maybe the most of the time you have the other player also. When he wins, your other player lose. So you lose and you win some.
But you don't get the prize money, huh?
No.
But you cannot imagine. And yesterday, for example, Medvedev brought 10 rackets. Tsitsipas brought 9. Wawrinka brought 8.
Koboli 5. Koboli 5.
Koboli 5.
So we had 15.
And Hukas 4. Okay.